welcome to another drive-in double feature. I'm Ryan,
I'm Nathan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before I get into anything at all, we have a Patreon over at patreon.com/drive-in double feature podcast. It's just a great place where you can hear some fun conversations between two friends talking about some movies, having a good old time over there. Just let us know you're listening. We want to hear any comments. If you're any interested at all, just let us know you're out there. But it's only $5 a month. It doesn't affect any regular content whatsoever. But today, we're going back to Godzilla with Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah. Giant monsters all out attack directed by Shusuke Kaneko, which is a
Ryan,
returning director.
sorry, I have a question. Why is Baragon not in the title as well?
It's right there in the parentheses. It's,
Oh,
the
okay.
Japanese. Yeah, his all out is like the way you can
Oh, that's okay.
spell Baragon.
Thank you for
Yeah.
gaslighting me. I appreciate it.
Sure, sure.
But keep going
Anytime.
back. Sorry.
Um, so yeah, Nathan, like I was saying, this is directed by Kaneko, who is a returning director that did not direct a Godzilla movie that we've covered.
hmm
So do you know which movies he's covered, Nathan?
I did because I looked, I saw, but he made the
Uh,
Gamera trilogy, the 90s Gamera movies.
yes, he's here. So director Kaneko, he always wanted to direct a Godzilla movie, but he was never asked. So he settled for directing the Gamera movies, and he directed the Gamera trilogy that we covered all um, way back when. You can go back and re-listen to those, see what we thought of those. Um, but those were actually all very critically acclaimed kaiju movies. Like people really loved them. Probably the highest rated critically Gamera movies that had ever been released
Yeah.
at the
And,
time.
and I mean, I remember us liking the first two quite a bit. Not so much the third one, but especially the first one I liked a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely one that really set the tone for those and really just took those kaiju movies to the next level and really brought them into like the 90s. But the director Kaneko was basically like a huge fan of Godzilla, and then after the success of those movies, they brought him into the Godzilla fandom. Now, originally, um, Kaneko, he was going to, and by the way, Big Action Bill, I watched one of his videos. I got a lot of the information from there. Uh, Originally, he was going to direct Godzilla fighting like the praying mantis monsters that were in
Mhm.
Son of Godzilla,
Oh, hell
but
yeah.
Godzilla had just fought and a giant insects and Megaguirus, so they're like, no, don't do that. Do you know what the other idea was originally going to be, Nathan?
No.
There was going to be an astronaut that was in outer space that was infected by radiation, and he became a giant evil astronaut and would
Oh
fight
my
Godzilla.
God. I mean, that sounds fun, but it's, I don't know.
So he would have been fighting that, but again, they deemed that was a little too silly. Um, Now, you did make mention of it, so the other monsters in this movie are Ghidorah, Mothra, and Baragon. Did you know that originally this was not supposed to have Mothra and Ghidorah in this movie?
It's supposed to just be a Baragon. Really?
No,
Oh no. Okay.
no, those monsters were substituted for two other kaijus that we have
Okay.
covered.
Giant Condor, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and Rodan.
You can't do two flying ones, Nathan, like that.
Oh
No, well, I
yeah,
mean,
that would be too static.
well, no, I'd say that there is two flying to this
Oh,
one, but
you're
anyway.
actually right.
But no, so in place of Mothra and Ghidorah, we are going to have Anguirus and Varen.
You know, I wouldn't say no to that. I'd love to see Angerus again.
And remember Varen, the flying monster too.
I bet
Do
you
you
if
do
I,
you do you remember
dude,
do you remember Varen, Nathan?
I do. If I look up a picture of him, I know I'm gonna instantly be like, oh, there's Varen. Which one was he? What movie was Varen in?
Varen.
He was just in Varen. He was
Well, he
never
was
in the.
also in. He was in Destroy All Monsters, just like Baragon, but
Okay,
they had very very short roles.
gotcha. Hold on. Oh my God, never mind. I'm not. There's a plant named Varen. I'm not gonna look any further.
Anyway, that so we were going to have Anguirus, Varen, and Baragon,
hmm
and we hadn't seen Varen and Baragon since Destroy All Monsters, and even then, those were very brief cameos. Like if you remember, they were like one of the ones on the
Yes,
sidelines that didn't even
that just like
fight.
showed up for a second.
Yeah, so yeah, Conoco really wanted to include them, but the studio head said no, they are not marketable whatsoever. You need to have
Bull.
pre-established ones. I know. I honestly I would have really liked it because I mean for me personally, it's almost like at this point, Mothra and Ghidorah kind of a little played out at this point. It'd been nice to
Mm.
get some variety in there, but
But
they did replace them respectively with Mothra and Ghidorah.
but from a money making standpoint, I totally get it. Like though the Mothra and Ghidorah are monsters that bring in money, I don't think Varen or Anguirus would bring in the same amount of prestige.
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially too after Mega Gearus movie kind of underperformed.
Yeah.
This was they really had to kind of put out all the stops. And one of the things that they had said is just like since that movie had underperformed, that they if he they basically threatened Kaneko and basically said like if you don't put Ghidorah and Mothra in here, we're going to cancel the Godzilla series.
Oh my God. That's a lot of pressure on the man.
So, in order for him to make the movie, he basically had to give in and do what he wanted to do what the studio heads wanted. So that's kind of what happened. So in this movie, we kind of get a more mythical side to the Godzilla series. This is not so much the sci-fi type of movies where, it's like this radioactive monster or these monsters from outer space or what have you. It's almost like these monsters are spirits. So how this movie starts is we get a girl named Yuri. She's a reporter for this kind of really trashy, like
hmm
tabloid type of documentary where how they open with her is like, she's seen at at like this pond or lake, and she's like, oh, like there's this legend of a monster being here, and then one of the crew members throws a rock, and you hear it splash. She's like, was that the monster? Like maybe,
hmm
and so she's getting kind of fed up because she's having to do like these really trashy stories, and she actually wants to do like real news stories.
hmm
And she does have her father played, which is Admiral Tachibana.
Nice.
He is part of the Godzilla Defense Force, and at the beginning of the movie, which I should state, this movie is a direct sequel to the original Godzilla movies. All the other movies
Yeah.
beforehand mean nothing.
That's crazy that they would do that. Like I've never heard of them ever doing anything like. Isn't it crazy that this? I'm sorry, I'm ending the joke there. This is the second time that this has happened in a row where they've just been like, nope, the rest don't exist. Except this time it's more of it's like, oh, Godzilla was a myth of the past. And I think what they're letting on is because they bring up the atom bomb multiple times and they're like, oh, kids nowadays don't understand how horrible that was. And we're getting really light on that. This movie feels like a reaction to maybe the younger generation, probably joking about Hiroshima or things like that. And then this movie's kind of like, hey, these horrible atrocities happened and it could happen again.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, this movie is a direct sequel. I mean, there are photos and stuff from the original movie. Like
hmm
there's one scene where actually they show pictures from like that happened in the original movie. So the very first Godzilla did happen, it does kind of like mirror what you said though, because there is a scene where these kids are kind of having like this discussion, like
Hmm.
during like this typhoon, where like one of the kids is like, I think Godzilla is like, he's just it's kind of a really sympathetic, and he's just a big green monster. He can't help it. And then one guy's like, I think Godzilla would make a great pet.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Which is like
so
maybe almost mirroring the sequels of Godzilla, where he gets more and more sympathetic.
well, that's the thing. And then like him saying it's a great pet, he'd make a great pet is mirroring what happened to him like in the late 60s, early 70s when he became
Mhm.
like a big hero to the children type of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, this one, it does kind of establish though that Godzilla is completely 100% evil in this movie. Probably the most evil we've seen him in a movie that I could think of.
Yeah, he hasn't been this evil in a while. He just looks evil. Like he has his eyes are completely white. They're just like pale white, and there's something about that that just feels so lifeless that it's a quite a presence.
Uh, well, Nathan, they're not completely white. I have to specify because
Okay.
they they do say in the documentary they're like there are black veins that you could see in the eye, so that
Okay.
way they wouldn't receive complaints from visually impaired groups.
Okay. We got a Mr. Magoo situation here.
Blind people would be furious if they saw Godzilla on the screen with blind eyes.
I love that. I love that. Yes, yeah. They would be, yeah, if they ever saw that.
Oh man.
Um,
No, no. So I do want to specify though. Yeah, he is evil in this one. He is kind of just an unstoppable force, and this gets brought up later in the movie, but because they don't really establish if this is like the original Godzilla from the 1950s or if this is like a new generation. But I do think they eventually say that this Godzilla was brought forth by the avenging spirits of the people from World War II. So this
mhm.
Godzilla is possessed by ghosts, Nathan.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of nuts to think about that they like completely like changed a lot of like the lore that we know so he could be like I mean it's just a pure ghost story. What is it? There's a specific term for this type of ghost, right? That he is. Hold on. Oh, that's right. My phone died, so I can't even look it up if I wanted to. But it is in Japanese folklore, there is a type of avenging ghost, and I think even
Like an
like
Oni.
an Oni. Thank you. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Kind of like the movie about the cat demon that we watched, Kuroneko. That was
Hmm.
similar to that.
Yeah, we get, it's kind of just saying like not so much that he's just an embodiment of nuclear testing. It's that he like all the people that faced atrocities back in the World War II era have now are like is this physical embodiment is this Godzilla, and he is just full on raging this whole time.
Hmm.
And Yuri does come across this book that one of her coworkers gives her that
Hmm.
states that Godzilla, there are these guardians that protect Earth,
Hmm.
and she finds out that it's Ghidorah, which protects the sky, Mothra, who protects the sea,
Hmm.
and Baragon, who protects the Earth.
Which I do think it's odd that Mothra gets the sea. I've never connected Mothra to the sea.
They've said that too, and they even I they made a point that it was kind of like a weird point, and that's one of like I think like the stand like one of the parts from the original script is that I think that was supposed to be anger is coming from like the sea.
Yeah, because like I'm pretty sure they're like actual like they're I mean they're not going to do Ebra. As much as I would love to see Ebra be the defender of the sea, they would never do that because I mean they got to have Mothra. I love seeing Mothra, so I'm not going to
Hmm.
complain too much.
Yeah, but they actually have these guardians that are protecting Earth. They make a point though, and they say that they're not there protecting the people; they're just protecting the land of Earth.
Yes, that
And
is.
you know that
Yeah, I guess you're
because,
right.
well, I mean, because we actually see so kind of jumping back and forth because one thing that's kind of cool is, and we see this in the movie, is that all these monsters are kind of sealed in by these little statues kind of that have kind of
Mhm.
sealed them away, and through one thing through another they end up getting destroyed, and that's what breaks the seal and they're able to get out of their slumber because
Mhm.
supposedly thousands of years ago humans had captured these monsters and sealed them away into earth in order to protect themselves. And like the first one that gets released is Baragon. There's like these teens on motorcycles that are causing this big fuss, and Baragon causes like this big landslide in this cave that buries them alive.
Mhm.
And then there's a scene too where Mothra is well, like these teens that are like partying by like this lake. They find this dog and they're talking about they're like gonna drown this dog alive. Like they're gonna like
Yeah.
they're just like that dog's barking too much. Let's drown it type of thing, which is insane.
Yeah, just a little.
And Mothra comes out in her larva form and completely kills these people. This is the first instance we've seen where Mothra has
Yeah.
killed people.
Yeah, Mothra is usually always, and she's technically good in this, but yeah, like you said, she doesn't matter. People will die too, which I think is a cool side to see because it's like, I guess it gets rid of. I guess they at this point, kind of like with Godzilla, they're getting rid of like monsters are friends to the people. It's like, no, they're just here to defend the Earth. They don't really care about the creatures quite as much.
No, they're not there to protect humans. They're just there to protect the land that they were already there first on.
Yeah.
Uh, and then there's this man who's like suicidal. He's going to kill himself and hang himself in the woods. He ends up breaking,
Um,
falling through, and finding Ghidorah. And that actor was also in all the Gamera movies.
Really, I didn't realize that. It's sad that like in the epilogue he ended up actually doing it, and then one of the Pauls went out into the forest and found him. Yeah, really
Yeah,
sad.
it's like whoa,
And he
because
was
like
laughing about it.
yeah, I thought I was thinking the same thing though when that happened. I was like, just like, oh yeah, like
Horrible.
some asshole in like 10 year or like 15 years is gonna find you and laugh at you.
Whoa, with the camera out and everything, posted for everyone to see.
Yeah, but anyway, also too, I want to mention there. This also happened in the beginning of the movie because I do want to mention Tachibana, the admiral, the military guy in this movie, because he's actually part of the defense force. And one thing they do, one of the plot points is at the very beginning of the movie, is they do mention an attack in New York
Mm-mm.
happening, and they're like, "Oh, was that the same Godzilla?" Which is referencing the 1998 movie.
That's wild. I didn't even make that connection. So all the movies exist or don't exist except the original and the American one?
This is the only instance we have of them referencing it so far. Yes,
Wow.
because because there's like these two guys talking, and they mention like an attack in New York, and they're like, "Was that the same Godzilla?" And they're like, the Americans say it is, but our experts have their doubts. So basically implying that no, that's not the same.
Gotcha.
That's not whatever that was. That's not Godzilla. So just
Hmm. That's
spitting on
them.
that one, and just
That's them
basically like,
being like, no, just screw that movie.
yeah. So they mentioned that. They also say too, and another plot point is Tachibana mentions that the Defense Force was the one to kill the original Godzilla, which is not true because we find out in the plot point that they had actually covered up that fact that Dr. Serizawa had used the oxygen destroyer because they're like, oh well, we have to make up this lie, otherwise we're receiving all this funding and we would it would be very shameful, the fact that we're taking this money and we haven't really killed Godzilla at any point.
Yeah, yeah. Which I think is, I actually think that side of the plot is pretty interesting. I personally can't say I love the reporter side of the plot. Not that I disliked it or anything. I've seen worse in these Godzilla movies, but I do think the investigative reporting side of it, getting a little bit of that task force history is at least interesting.
I mean, I agree, maybe like the plot wise, it's not the best, but I do think the character, the actress playing Yuri, I think she does a decent job though.
Yeah, she's not bad. I think we get to see a different type of character, which I think is something I appreciate, where she's a reporter. I mean, that's something we've seen plenty of times. She's a reporter, but she's also dealing with her struggles. So she's kind of a drunk too. She drinks a lot. She kind of messes up. She comes home late to her dad, and they both get in a fight. And I like that scene in the morning when they're eating breakfast together, and she's like, "I'm sorry." Which, did you watch the dub or did you watch it subtitled?
I couldn't find a subversion.
Okay, I was just wondering, but yeah, I watched the dub version. Yeah, because that's all I could find.
And I, I'm just, I think a lot of my gripes with it is just how ridiculous a lot of the dubs sound. That this is not a good dub of this movie.
No, it's like not even. It doesn't even feel like it's trying. Like the voiceover is definitely not even attempting to match lips or anything.
That especially when there's elderly characters in this movie,
Mhm.
it's very clearly just somebody like, "Oh, the Godzilla, he's gonna be coming over." It's very clearly like it's somebody younger
Yeah,
doing an old man voice, and they couldn't even get like an an old man voice actor to do it.
someone off the
Um,
street.
but speaking about old men, there is an old man character in this movie that's almost like a ghostly type of presence because he
Mhm.
kind of see him lurking in the forest when Yuri is out there, and then eventually he gets arrested and put into jail, and he says he has information about Godzilla, and he tells them that he was there all those years ago, and Godzilla is going to be coming, and no matter what weapons you guys use, it won't be strong enough to stop Godzilla, and that's kind of how the movie goes from there. And that guy was played by a man named Amamoto,
Mhm.
who he was in a lot of previous other Godzilla movies, like he was in Godzilla's Revenge or All Monsters All Out Attack, which is
Really?
the movie with the little boy.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And he plays the toy maker that's the little boy's friend.
Yes, I actually do remember that one.
That same actor right there.
Oh, that's cool. That's actually really cool, and that's a very interesting role in the movie. At least I like that whole bit.
They say he was a really eccentric guy because that guy Big Action Bill had said like um he like lived in a coffee shop like above like upstairs like above like a coffee shop
Really?
like in a chain store coffee shop type of deal. It was odd, but and that he was also one of the princess's servants in Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, where he had like that Elizabethan like ruffle collar that we made fun of that one time. He
Oh
was
my
in that role.
God, that's so funny. Okay, so this guy's been around.
Yeah, we've seen him before.
Okay, yeah.
Um, but anyway, uh, I'll just go ahead and reveal it because it turned out at the end of the movie that character was actually a ghost
Yep.
because they they find out that she had died all these years ago, and that all the footage that they had taken of him, like because they were
Hmm.
filming him the whole time, that all that footage had been deleted because he was a ghost.
Yeah, yeah, because if we know anything from history of ghosts, they just go in and they delete any footage you take of them. I thought those
Right.
scenes were wild, where she was like pretty much sneaky, like she was hiding the camera from him as she was recording him talking.
Yeah, I mean, well, once you say like after a ghost solves its problems, it disappears. All your camera footage is gone. Ghost will
Yeah.
let you film them as long as it helps
Hmm.
their problem.
Yeah, I once played a video game with a ghost, and he went back and deleted all my achievements after he
Oh
assaulted.
no.
Yeah, I have to replay the damn game. Sucked.
But, but you couldn't with because you didn't have the ghost there to help you.
No, yeah, yeah. So now I have this game with no achievements that I know I played, but no one will believe me.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But yeah. Anyway, so getting back into the movie, eventually what happens is Godzilla does finally make sure, and probably one of the most ridiculous scenes because Godzilla comes out of the water, which actually does look like the one scene in 1998 Godzilla, because it's like the guy fishing off the boat or off the dock, and we see Godzilla. But there's also this other boat that gets tossed into the air and then drops. And this movie like has like a weird thing where like you see the boat falling and then it just zooms in on like the guy screaming from like a window of the boat. It looks so bad.
Yeah, it looks bad. I mean, you could say that for a good chunk of this movie. The CG when it pops up is ooh, it has not aged well. It looks video game level bad.
Yeah, it's one of those movies. I mean, there are some really impressive suits in this movie, I will
Oh,
say. You know,
that's why
they're
I said like the CGI is bad. The suit work, but like all that stuff is great.
right. But the CG is very noticeably bad, especially like at the very end of the movie when Ghidorah becomes like super powered and it's just like this
Hmm.
gold like polygon. It
It's the
looks really bad.
PS2 game.
Yeah. Anyway, we get to our first fight of this movie, which is
Mhm.
Baragon versus Godzilla. Baragon is this is actually the first time, Nathan, we've seen a female suit actor in this
Really?
movie. Because Baragon's costume was noticeably shorter than Godzilla's, so they had to get somebody really short. So they got a woman to do it,
So
which
Godzilla
is
beats the
Re.
crap out of a woman?
Yes, he does.
Wow.
But the suit actor is played by Ria Ota, and I've sent this. I think I've sent it to you before, but it's this clip from the behind the scenes of this movie where it's like Ria Ota, like in the Baragon costume, like she's doing like the roars like herself. She's like going like nah.
I've not seen that, or I don't remember it at least.
I'll have to send that to you, but yeah, it's funny because like it's like the actual suit actor doing the roars like while they're filming the scene.
That's fun. I like that. But I really like this fight scene because Baragon pretty much gets his butt handed to him. Like it's not like a very fair fight, and everybody watching is like, oh, the poor little guy is not gonna make it. He's not gonna win.
Yeah, I mean, Baragon does his best. I
He
mean,
does.
because his strongest asset is burrowing, and he does burrow, and Godzilla does fall in like his holes sometime, and then
Hmm.
at one point he does get eye level with Godzilla, and he does like a nose tackle and bites Godzilla's arm, but
Hmm.
then Godzilla slams him down and just stomping him.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
And
and with that, we're back to bloody Godzilla because Godzilla bleeds in this movie.
there's a lot of blood in this one. Not as much as we've seen. I mean, there's some that were like an
Oh no.
absolute bloodbath, but there is noticeable blood in this one. Um, but again, you know, Baragon gets kind of like the crap kicked out of him. He does eventually does one other lunge, then Godzilla smacks Baragon with its tail, and Baragon goes like soaring into the air like it's like he's a
Yes.
baseball.
Yeah, I love that. And like almost like Team Rocket and Pokemon out into the distance kind of
Hmm.
deal. Yeah.
At that seems funny too, because like there's this news chopper that's in the air, like
Oh,
pointing at
yeah.
Baragon, and then Baragon smacks into this news chopper and kills all those people in
Yeah,
there.
and isn't it like almost Godzilla intentionally like does it? Godzilla intentionally throws him into the helicopter so that
Hmm.
they die.
Godzilla is noticeably like he goes out of his way to like kill people. There,
What?
there's once
Yeah.
there's one scene too, like if you remember where the people are running and then this one woman like sees Godzilla and she just screams at the top of their lungs, and then Godzilla just like turns around and like
Yes.
specifically looks at this one woman and just kills her.
Your scream annoyed me. Now I love the one where it's like it's the girl in the hospital and she's trapped in the hospital
Well,
bed.
so yeah, so it's that girl from the people like those teenagers that were having that discussion about Godzilla.
Yeah.
She survives the attack
Hmm.
and she's taken to this hospital and she's traumatized. And then
And yeah,
what
and
happens?
she's trapped there, and Godzilla actually, and she's like, you're supposed to get nervous because Godzilla's getting closer and closer, and she can't escape. And then he turns and he leaves, and she's kind of like, ah, like she's like, okay, whew, I survived. And then Godzilla takes his tail and smacks the building down with her in it. And I wasn't expecting the brutality of it because it just cuts to the next scene, and there isn't like, oh, she survived or she's in the rubble. No, she died. She died in the in the rubble. So Godzilla is just an asshole.
Here's the other scene too, where this guy's like taking a piss, like in a, and he's just like, he sees all this rumbling. He's like, and then you just see Godzilla's foot just stomp the
Yes.
guy.
Yeah, I think this movie is a great reminder. Like, and I know that's the point of this of like, you remember Godzilla in the original? Godzilla in the original was like this unstoppable, horrible force that just killed and destroyed indiscriminately. And this is kind of that return to like, yeah, Godzilla's evil in every way.
And Big Action Bill brought it up too, and I think it's funny too because normally we don't see normally Godzilla does kill people, but it's always implied that he kills somebody. It's never um we never see like the person like dying or like getting killed type of thing. It's
Hmm.
always just like you see buildings and cars getting attacked and you just assume that all these people are dying. We see all these people. We don't normally get to see all these people dying normally. So I think that just adds to the brutality of a lot of
Hmm.
these death scenes. Like there's these one where like, Godzilla destroys all these fighter jets and all like the pieces from it are just raining down on these houses, like destroying these houses too. Just
Hmm.
I think what this movie does best is just showing the collateral damage of all these fights because normally we don't ever, we see, them falling into buildings, but we don't actually get to see like on the scale of like the people inside the buildings or, like all the damage or the destruction that normally happens in there. We actually see like all these people dying. Like at the end of the movie, Yokohama is basically like reduced to rubble.
Yeah, yeah, no, and that's always been my favorite parts of the Godzillas is like the set destruction. I always find that just from like not even like a movie level, a technical level, I love looking at like scenes being destroyed and the rubble and how they film that. And I think I agree that's like what this movie does best. I find that very impressive. And thus, I find
Hmm.
the fights really impressive in general, especially once we get towards the end of the movie with the big three fighting each other.
Yeah. And oh, just to wrap up before, Godzilla does eventually get the better of Baragon and just uses his atomic breath and just incinerates Baragon. Baragon is reduced to dust after the end
Aragon's
of that
dead.
one.
Yeah,
And I mean, I I think it's so like the way like these characters just die, like these monsters die, is just don't ever see them just like no, they're dead. Like they're very dead.
yes, yeah. It's like if they come back, it's the spirit. They're back in
Hmm.
spirit form.
Yeah, Godzilla just straight up kills all of these people. Mothra does eventually make it into the movie. Godzilla fights Mothra, and this is one of the few times too where Godzilla gets the better of Mothra, because normally it's always Mothra getting the better of
Yes.
Godzilla. And so we finally get to see Godzilla like actually having like the upper hand. Did you notice too? There's like a scene too, like just to show you like how much these monsters don't care about the people. Like, did you see like Mothra was like flying in front of like this one building and with
Hmm.
like all these soldiers, and then Mothra just moves away from Godzilla's breath, and the beam just destroys all these people. Just just straight
Yeah.
like that does not give one single crap about all these people.
No, and like, and even the military people, I think there's multiple lines in this movie where people are just like, "Oh, we're helpless to everything that's going on. Like, we are just pawns in the game, the bigger game here."
Yeah, because they do use all their military forces, and it's not like they have no effect on Godzilla whatsoever.
Hmm.
Um, but Mothra shows up, and Ghidorah shows up too. And one thing they do mention about Ghidorah, because Ghidorah is noticeably smaller in this movie,
Hmm.
is that one of the lines of this movie is that they mention is like, oh well, Ghidorah has to have time to grow, and because he's a very old dragon, and he has 8 heads. So that's why he only has 3 heads in this one. That's why they specify why he only has 3 heads, because he's supposed to be like this 8-headed dragon, but he hasn't had enough time to grow, and
Hmm.
that's why Ghidorah is noticeably smaller in this one. And Godzilla ends up fighting both of them at the same time, and they're no match for him whatsoever. And he does KO Ghidorah at a certain point, and Mothra like dives in front of the beam for
Yeah.
Ghidorah, and then Mothra just dies. He kills Mothra. He just uses its atomic breath and just reduces her to like the spiritual dust.
Yeah. What a bummer. I can't believe that. That means this movie gets an instant negative. A ding.
It's a
Ding, Mothra dies.
Ding, Mothra dies. One -1 star
Hmm.
from Letterbox.
Yes. Yep. Sorry. It's
I
going down. I don't know how you go below a 1 star, but
no, I it
I'm
it
just kidding.
I'm just but just the point, like I said, you don't normally see Godzilla just killing Mothra. This I was like, I don't think other than Mothra like sacrificing herself to save humanity or
Mhm.
anything like that, we never have seen Mothra just die like
No,
that.
not like in a fight where she is just completely destroyed by Godzilla.
Yeah. But what happens is Mothra uses her last energy to infuse with Ghidorah, and Ghidorah becomes super powered. Um, and he's able to actually get like the upper hand a little bit on Godzilla and uses his beam.
Hmm.
Um, and there's one part too, Nathan. So Godzilla and Ghidorah are kind of battling underwater at a certain point,
Hmm.
and I don't know if you remember. So like the military guys, they launch a sub underwater, and they're kind of pinpointing like where Godzilla's weak point is,
Hmm.
and they shoot, and Ghidorah kind of like moves its head, and Ghidorah's the one that gets hit.
Hmm.
Now, and is this ringing any bells for you?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And then because if you notice, like in the dub, the guy's like, "Got it," even though he doesn't hit Ghidorah's,
Yeah. You're
even though he
right.
doesn't hit even though he
Yeah.
doesn't hit Godzilla's weak point at all.
Yeah.
So I watched the Big Action Bill thing, and that was a total dub mistake because
Really?
in the original one, he drops a hard F bomb when he hits Ghidorah.
And they're like, "What do we do? What do we do?"
Well, yeah, because he shoots the wrong monster. Because I was thinking that too. I was like, "You're aiming for Godzilla, but you hit Ghidorah." Like, why? I thought that
Well,
when I
it
watched
confused.
this movie.
I remember thinking that, and I was just kind of like, okay, like like I was just kind of like, maybe that's what he meant to do. I don't know why he would have, but
E- Even though
maybe.
he wasn't aiming for Ghidorah at all, it was just
Yeah,
so off the wall, and I was like, why would he say "got it"? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But apparently, though, there was a lot of translation errors in this dub. So,
yeah. I mean, I
uh,
was not surprised.
um, and one part too, I'm going to be quite honest with you, probably I thought was really dumb was one of Yuri's coworkers has like this stone,
Yeah,
and apparently it was used to like to give extra power to Ghidorah, and I was just like, why did they like? I just felt it was really unnecessary and kind of
yeah.
dumb.
It's funny because I even forgot about that plot point till you said it. But yeah, he had a stone this whole movie, and it just felt like pointless. Like it's like a way to
It's
get
just
the
a plot device.
yeah, it's just to get the human characters a little more connection to it because one they've kind of become just side. I mean, like we get to see this reporter's arc, Yuri, of her, becoming more important. Her boss ends up liking her more, and it's like, no, you'll go forward with this. He's actually completely okay with it because he's so interested in the Godzilla angle. And yeah, I feel like that's just a way to get them a little more connection because otherwise she's just on the sidelines watching this whole thing.
Yeah. And eventually, Godzilla does kill Ghidorah,
Yeah.
and Godzilla is all he's by himself, and you think like all hope is lost, but then the spirits of the Guardians appear.
Hmm.
Baragon, Mothra, and Ghidorah appear one more time, and they kind of push Godzilla underneath the water, like the weight of their spirits, I guess.
Hmm.
And then Tachibana, the military guy, Yuri's dad, he's kind of made up his mind that he's going to take fate into his own hands, and he's in his mind he's going to sacrifice himself and
Hmm.
kill Godzilla. So he he jumps into like this little machine, this kind of ship type of thing, and he's able to fly into Godzilla's mouth. Godzilla does swallow him,
Hmm.
and at one point Yuri is she thought she drowned, and Yuri's like ghost appears in front of her dad and basically like, focus, take out Godzilla. And Godzilla we sorry Tachibana uses these little drill missiles that we've seen throughout this movie,
Hmm.
and he uses it from inside of Godzilla to poke a hole through Godzilla's chest. So now Godzilla's got like this big hole in his chest now.
Hmm.
And at the end of the movie, Godzilla starts to use like his atomic breath. But since he has this hole in his chest, the atomic breath shoots out of his chest instead, and he's like, ah.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting. However, I thought the funniest bit of all this was that the fact that the spirits of all these monsters came back to help, like, just keep them underwater for this big final fight. Um,
Hmm.
but I mean, it makes for a very interesting. The main thing that with these Godzilla movies, I feel like we see a lot of repeats of the same stuff. But this one, at least this final bit with him shooting in the inside, the hole and everything, it does at least feel different. It's like they're trying something different.
It's a little silly.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was kind of
Yeah.
like, but I will say I was like, I wasn't expecting that,
No.
and I that's something completely new that we have not seen, like you had said. And Godzilla trying to it kind of musters up all of its energy and tries to go for one last final breath, and instead that ends up self-destructing himself because
Hmm.
the energy has nowhere else to go, and it explodes. Oh, there oh too when he kills Ghidorah, like did you just notice like the Ghidorah parts were just like raining from the sky too and
Yes,
just
I
like
do
hitting.
remember that.
So yeah, we that's kind of what happens though. Godzilla dies, and then everyone's just kind of like really happy, like, oh, like Godzilla's dead, hooray! And then even though like the whole town is just
Oh, yeah, Yokohama, one of the biggest cities in Japan, is completely destroyed at the end of the movie.
hmm. So that's what happens. Yuri and her father reunite. He's totally fine. Uh, and then how this movie ends, it ends with a little teaser stinker at the end. We do see Godzilla's heart underwater, and it starts beating,
Yeah.
and then that's how it ends.
But I can't wait for the next one when they go, wait a second, no other movie has happened since the first one. No, I don't know. I don't know where we go from here.
Don't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised either. But
Yeah.
overall, uh, I really like this one, Nathan, a lot.
Mhm.
Um, so much so that as soon as I got done watching it, I watched it again.
Wow, right afterwards? Good
What the next
Lord.
day?
Oh, well, yeah, it's still kind of crazy. I thought you meant like, wow, the credits were rolling and you were like, all right, roll it back.
No, I mean like I watched it I watched the movie, and then as soon as then I watched the Big Action Bill
Mhm.
video, and I was just like, you know what? I want to watch it again. I want to see it, and I rewatched it again.
Nice. No, no, that's awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it that much. I didn't enjoy it quite as much, but I liked it. I thought it was good. I do think it's the best one of
It's the
the
Millennium
Millennium.
series.
It's
Yes,
the best
definitely.
one because it just had the best action of the bunch. I just thought all the fights were really good. This movie did a lot of them. And when it was the suit stuff, it looked solid. The characters weren't bad to follow either. And you can't it's hard to complain about a movie's dub because, sometimes it just is what it is. But no, I just thought it was a fun movie, so I was entertained by it. Don't think it ranks up there as like one of my favorites or anything, but I had a good time.
No, I mean for me, it's probably one of my favorites. At least of this modern era. So
Hmm.
I'm really glad I got to watch this one. Just some really impressive fights in this one.
Hmm.
Miniature work, suit work, was really good, and even for the humans, to me, were not that annoying. They were at least somewhat memorable, where I can I knew what was going on, and just like the ridiculousness of some of these, where it's just like this ghost giving them a warning about Godzilla, or Godzilla is being possessed
Hmm.
by all these evil spirits, is just really funny to me.
Yeah,
So I
it,
just
it 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 has that Gamera energy of like not being afraid to be silly. And I think we
mhm.
both like Godzilla a bit more when it's silly.
Yeah. So it's probably the so far the least like the closest one to the Showa era, which was my favorite time period of Godzilla.
Yeah. No, and I agree. Like it's probably my favorite Godzilla that we've watched in quite a while.
Yeah. So my book, I give it a high recommend.
Yeah, I give it a recommend. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly, if you go watch the Millennium movies, I'd say you can watch this one. I mean, it's not like the continuity matters anyway.
And
I mean, I haven't
one
seen
thing
the
too,
other ones, but
I think though with like with what Big Action Bill had said too, like you could play this one to somebody that's never seen any of the Godzilla ones, and it would still hold up on its own.
yeah, because I mean, even then, like I think you get to see the cool monster battles. Like it's very reminiscent of those Showa movies where we got to see multiple monsters in one movie, which I feel like those were some of the most memorable moments in Godzilla history.
Mhm. But I think that's gonna. Oh, I should say this is also one of the this was the most successful movie up to this point of the Millennia era movies, selling
Mhm.
2.5 million tickets. So I mean
Oh, yeah,
that's very good for doing a lot better than it did for Megaguirus at least. So
that's good.
ensuring that we can at least continue the series.
He didn't ruin the series. Good. He doesn't have to live
No,
with that on his soul.
which is I almost hate because Kaneko, he was such a big fan of the one. I was kind of surprised that he only ended up doing one after this one.
Really?
But supposedly, like the relationship between him and the producers was very strained at the end,
It
and
sounds like it.
not really clear. It could have been creative reasons. One of the reasons is that they were on a very tight time crunch, and Kaneko wasn't really used to doing that with the Gamera movies. Like with the Gamera movies, he didn't really have a whole lot of money, but he had all the time he needed to make the
Hmm.
movie. And this one was the opposite problem. He had a bunch of money, but not enough time to make it how he wanted to.
Yeah, it sounds kind of miserable, but at least he got to make one Godzilla movie.
He did. And so far, like I said, I loved it. So I'm really interested to see what direction the series goes to with the rest of the Millennium era movies.
Yeah, same here. I'm definitely like because I was a little iffy there, so I'm happy to see one that I actually enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah. But that's going to do it, Nathan. We're going to shut the book there. So why don't you tell us what we're going to be covering next time?
All right. Well, next Tuesday we are going to be talking about Cat People, the original Cat People, which is streaming over on the Criterion channel. But Ryan,
Well,
oh, go ahead.
terrific.
But Ryan, what are we covering on Thursday?
Well, Nathan, they mentioned a movie in the Big Action Bill video that I watched for this movie. So I thought it'd be fun to cover this one. So Nathan, we are going to be covering Goke, Body Snatcher from Hell,
Okay.
which is streaming on the Criterion channel right now.
Well, it must be good. We are doing Criterion Week again.
Yes, we are.
Mhm.
But if you have any thoughts and opinions, please email us over at driveanddoubleFeature@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/driveanddoubleFeature and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/driveanddoubleFeature. But until next time.
Until next time.